welcome now to the Element Wealth Studio, Caleb Saylor's Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News. All right, Caleb, you guys didn't have to burn the old midnight oil too long last night, did you?
No, just waited on the Republican Party in House District 2 to determine, which one of their candidates was going to be Benny Thompson's next victim, as we were joking about last night. No, really the only drama per se is we've got a runoff 3 weeks from yesterday, from Tuesday, yesterday, 3 weeks from then, April 2nd, between Andrew Smith and Ron Eller. Ron Eller ended up getting more of the vote than Smith, but he didn't eclipse that 50% threshold. He got about 46.5% of the vote. Andrew Smith got about 35.9% of the vote. And Taylor Turcotte has been ousted from the race, and so those two will head to a runoff to see who will take on Congressman Benny Thompson, who's been there for a very long time and is seeking his 16th term in office. 16th term, yes. And it's kind of like, a lot of people use the biblical story, David versus Goliath, for their campaigns. Ty Pinkins, who we'll get to him in a minute, who's running against Roger Wicker for Senate. He mentioned David and Goliath in one of his speeches last night. And this one might actually be like a David versus Goliath situation. Benny Thompson has, 100% name recognition in the Mississippi Delta, the Jackson, Hinds County area he covers in District 2, and he's been unbeatable for the past 15 terms, and so we'll see, but it'll be between Ron Eller and Andrew Smith. Ron Eller ran last time and was ousted by Brian Flowers. Brian Flowers was the one who went up against Benny Thompson 2 years ago. Andrew Smith, I know you've had both of these guys on the program. He's a young guy, up-and-comer. Both of them have very good plans and ideas for how they want to run the district. It's just we'll see come April which one of those two will get the majority of the votes. But it looked like Eller got more support in central Mississippi, in Hinds County, Warren County. But Andrew Smith had a really good showing in the Delta, won a lot of the Delta counties. So that's District 2. I kind of jumped ahead because that's really the only drama we have. We have a runoff there between Andrew Smith and Ron Eller. So those of you in District 2, April 2nd is the day to vote for those two.
What about the turnout? It was low.
Low voter turnout. And, I know we had Secretary of State Michael Watson on the program several times yesterday talking about the low turnout. You're going to get that during spring break. I know Lucian Smith came on one of our programs last week, former GOP chairman, and was like, you have no excuse. You can go to your circuit clerk's office and go get an absentee ballot and cast it, but Mississippi, we're known to be a lazy state, and a lot of people did not take the initiative to go get their absentee ballots and vote. And so we had a very low voter turnout yesterday, and that was reflected. But what wasn't reflected was, or what was reflected twice over, was the status quo. Incumbents just raked the floor yesterday. A race that people thought could be close and could have some implications, may go to a runoff, was Senator Roger Wicker, and that did not happen. Senator Roger Wicker won overwhelmingly, ousting challengers Gannon Burton, a retired Marine, and State Senator Dan Eubanks, who's been on the program several times, and Eubanks, who's from North Mississippi, DeSoto County area. He did not win one single county in Mississippi. Gannon Burton won several counties in Northeast Mississippi, but that was about it. The rest of the state was all Roger Wicker, and he got about 61% of the vote, and the field got the rest.
Yeah.
And so now he'll take on Ty Pinkins, who, Ty Pinkins ran an unsuccessful campaign for Secretary of State. He was kind of thrown into the fire after Shawaski Young, who's been on the program, had some health concerns, had to step out of the race. Pinkins ran, a pretty valiant campaign. He's very polished, good speaker, but just couldn't oust, Secretary of State Michael Watson, who's an incumbent. And so now he'll take on Roger Wicker come November. And again, he's equated this race to a David and Goliath situation. Staying in federal government on the presidential side, no surprises. Obviously, Joe Biden's uncontested. Donald Trump before the polls even closed, they're like, yep, he won. He's it. So it'll be a rematch versus Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Both have gotten the necessary delegate numbers to be on their party's representative come November. So we'll have 2020 repeat 2.0 in November.
And we should also point out this is the third consecutive winning of the Republican nomination. Well, it hasn't happened just yet, but certainly the number of delegates, and I think all intents and purposes, he's going to be the nominee. Third consecutive.
For Trump.
For Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
I think, Rhino, the last time that happened is like 100 years ago or so. It's been a while. But it's a very unusual situation. And
it just shows you the party is kind of taking on, by and large, that Trump persona. You know, he's the party representative. He's the guy that, you know, the GOP is going to go to war for. They're going to continue to vote for him. He has so much of a segment of that base that it's kind of hard to keep him from jumping back onto the scene. And so we'll have a repeat of 2020 come November. And then in House District 1, nothing surprising. Trent Kelly uncontested. He'll take on Diane Black. Diane Black ousted Bronco Williams overwhelmingly. She got 85% of the vote. Bronco got 15% of the vote. This will be a repeat of 2 years ago. And if you want a recap of that, Trent Kelly won by a whopping 46 points over Diane Black. So maybe she can make up some ground. I don't see it happening, but that'll be your House District 1 race come November. And then we've already talked about House District 2. House District 3, we have Michael Guest seeking his third term. Well, he'll win his third term, uncontested. No one jumped in the field on either side to take him. No Shawaski Young jumped in the field. No Michael Cassidy jumped in the field. So Michael Guest is unopposed and, you know, continue to do his thing on Capitol Hill. And in the 4th district down on the coast, we had Mike Ezell just wipe the floor with his competition. You had Carl Boynton and Michael McGill, you know, both run pretty scathing campaigns, you know, talking about the former sheriff saying he didn't fulfill his promises in D.C., saying he went along with these budget bills that he shouldn't have gone along with. And they had a lot of qualms with him and, you know, essentially alluded to the coast having a lot of qualms with them. The coast did not have a lot of qualms with Mike Ezell. He won in a landslide, got about 73% of the vote. Carl Boynton was the runner-up, and he got 19% of the vote. So there was no mandate on Mike Ezell down low. And he'll take on Craig Raybon, who ran uncontested on the Democratic side. We know nothing about him, other than he posted on Facebook saying, "Vote for me."
Yeah.
That's all we know about Craig Raybon.
Mike Ezell, just to interject, won all 12 counties in the District 4.
Won every county. No, it wasn't remotely close.
Yep.
And so that's your recap right now, and we'll see. So you'll have Mike Ezell versus Craig Raybon in November. Michael Guest, he's a shoo-in. And then you'll have the winner of Ron Eller or Andrew Smith between Benny Thompson in District 2, then Diane Black versus Trent Kelly in District 1 when we go to the polls on November 5th.
Yep. Well, absolutely. That's where we are. Ben from Madison on the C Spire text line says 16th term. That is beyond ridiculous. 1993 is when Mr. Thompson first arrived in the U.S. House of Representatives. 93.
And you know, and there were a lot of people that were upset with Senator Roger Wicker, you know, getting the nod yesterday. But, you know, the only way you can remove these people from office is to show up and vote. And when you have low voter turnout, a lot of times that favors the incumbent. And so, I mean, anybody that's upset about this, I mean, really, you just I'm not getting in the middle of this. I'm just reporting what's going on. But you have yourself to blame if you don't go out and vote. You don't encourage your family and friends to go out and vote. And that's kind of people always say democracy's on the docket this year. Democracy's on the ballot. You know, some of that could be a little overblown, but it really is, though, when people don't show up and vote.
Yeah, I think what you got to recognize is that if you're going to take on an entrenched, well-funded incumbent, you got to have a lot of money to get your message out.
You need a war chest.
Because otherwise it's difficult to convey, why should I vote for you to replace this person that's already been there?
Absolutely.
How are you going to improve on that? And it's not that they don't have necessarily effective messages where they could draw those distinctions. It's just, how do you get that out? Because so many people just don't pay attention. Just show up and vote.
Andrew Smith, for example, you know, he's one of the ones that's trying to challenge Benny Thompson whether he gets in or not. He came on the program. He talked to me directly, saying, you know, he's been to every single county in House District 2, and he's spoken to people, shaken hands, and done just about everything he can do. And that may not, and he acknowledged, he said, that may not be enough. That may not be enough to beat Benny. I mean, you need the money. You need the backing. I mean, when, you know, Dan Eubanks and Gannon Burton have their ads and billboards. Roger Wicker is having TV commercials and radio commercials. Real quick before I go, Gerard, breaking news, Ole Miss and Chris Beard, head basketball coach, have signed an extension, and so he'll be back in Oxford for at least another season next
there were
year.
some rumors that he might be looking to make a move.
Arkansas was the job I was hearing.
I heard Louisville, too.
I didn't think he was going to go to Louisville. Arkansas was the one I was more worried about, but he is staying in Oxford.
Interesting. All right. Appreciate it, Caleb. Thanks
you,
for coming in, giving us the rundown. We're coming right back, folks. We're in the Element